At the dawn of the 20th century, Ireland stood at a crossroads. The scars of the Great Famine still lingered in the soil and soul, shaping a people both weary and quietly defiant. British rule remained entrenched, yet whispers of change stirred in the wind. In the hearts of rural cottages and the alleys of Dublin tenements, stories passed from mouth to ear, tales of ancient heroes, banshees, and rebellion. These myths weren't mere entertainment. They were memory, resistance, and prophecy. British governance in Ireland was more than political. It was cultural erasure. The Irish language, once dominant, was fading. Schools taught English history. Irish traditions were deemed backward. But beneath this imposed silence, a cultural revival was blooming. The Gaelic League, founded in 1893, sought to reclaim language and identity. Folklore collectors roamed the land, preserving tales before they vanished. Ireland's soul was being archived, not just for nostalgia, but for revolution. In the cities, workers faced grinding poverty. In the countryside, tenant farmers still feared eviction. Yet hope flickered. The Irish Republican Brotherhood plotted in secret. Sinn Féin emerged, advocating self-rule. Cultural nationalism fed political fire. Plays by Yeats and Lady Gregory stirred pride. The Abbey Theatre became a crucible of identity. Ireland was awakening, not with a roar, but with a whisper that would soon become a cry. Often overlooked, women played vital roles in Ireland's awakening. Activists like Constance Markievicz and Helena Maloney defied Victorian norms, organizing protests, publishing radical papers, and training in arms. Cumann na mBan, founded in 1914, became a backbone of the nationalist movement. These women weren't just supporting revolution, they were shaping it. Their courage echoed ancient tales of warrior queens and wise seers. Irish mythology wasn't just preserved, it was weaponized. Rebels invoked Cú Chulain's bravery and wisdom. The land itself was sacred, rivers named for goddesses, hills tied to battles. In speeches and songs, ancient Ireland became a mirror for modern struggle. This wasn't romanticism, it was strategy. To fight for Ireland, one had to believe in her soul. By 1916, tension reached a breaking point. The Easter Rising was imminent. Secret meetings, coded messages, and smuggled arms filled the days. But this wasn't just Dublin's story. Across Ireland, ordinary people prepared: teachers, farmers, poets. The Rising would fail militarily, but its spirit would ignite a nation. The silence of centuries was about to be broken. Even as rebellion brewed, the land remembered. Peat bogs held ancient secrets. Stone circles whispered of old gods. Farmers spoke of fairy forts and banshee cries. These beliefs weren't superstition, they were survival. In a colonized world, myth offered meaning. Ireland's landscape was not just terrain, it was testimony. Music carried memory. Laments told of famine, exile, and betrayal. Rebel songs stirred courage. In pubs and parlors, fiddles and bowrants kept history alive. Each note was defiance. Each lyric, a ledger of pain and pride. The British banned many tunes, but they could not silence the melody of a nation. Not all resistance wore uniforms. School teachers taught banned history. Priests hid rebels. Postmen passed coded letters. These quiet acts of defiance formed the backbone of revolution. Ireland's fight wasn't just on battlefields. It was in kitchens, classrooms, and confessionals. The ordinary became extraordinary. As Easter 1916 dawned, Ireland stood on the edge. The Rising would be crushed, its leaders executed. But the silence was shattered. The blood spilled on Dublin streets awakened a sleeping nation. The myths had spoken. The people had answered. And history would never be the same. The Easter Rising of 1916 was crushed within a week, its leaders executed, its cities scarred. But the silence that followed was not surrender, it was smoldering. Across Ireland, grief turned to fury. The British response, heavy-handed and cruel, awakened a dormant fire in the hearts of ordinary people. The Rising had failed militarily, but spiritually, it had lit a fuse. From 1919 to 1921, Ireland entered a new phase, the War of Independence. But this was not a war of armies, it was a war of shadows. The IRA operated in cells, striking quickly and vanishing. Intelligence was key. Couriers, codemakers, and safe housekeepers, many of them women, became the lifeblood of resistance. The British countered with the Black and Tans, infamous for their brutality. Fear and courage walked hand in hand. Ordinary homes became command centers. Kitchens stored rifles. Bedrooms hid fugitives. Children ran messages. The revolution was domestic, intimate, and deeply human. In towns like Cork, Limerick, and Galway, entire communities became complicit in rebellion. The line between civilian and soldier blurred. Resistance was no longer a choice, it was survival. Words became weapons. Newspapers, pamphlets, and poems stirred hearts and sharpened minds. Writers like Patrick Pearse and Maud Gonne infused myth into revolution. The Irish language, once suppressed, became a banner of defiance. Songs told of heroes and martyrs. In every verse, a call to arms. In every stanza, a prayer for freedom. Cumann na mBan translates to the Women's Council or the League of Women. It was an Irish Republican women's organization founded in 1914 to support the Irish volunteers in the fight for Irish independence. The organization's members provided crucial support, such as nursing the wounded, sheltering rebels, carrying messages, and, in some cases, participating in military operations. Cumann na mBan expanded its reach. Women smuggled arms, treated wounds, and gathered intelligence. They were not auxiliaries, they were architects. Figures like Kathleen Clark and Margaret Skinner defied both empire and patriarchy. Their bravery echoed the legends of Grace O'Malley, the Pirate Queen, a powerful and legendary chieftain and seafaring pirate queen in 16th century Ireland. A shrewd political tactician and military leader, she commanded her own fleet and resisted the English crown's increasing control over Ireland. We can also clearly see the parallels to that of Queen Maeve, a powerful and complex figure in Irish mythology and the central character of the epic saga The Cattle Raid of Cooley. As the formidable warrior queen of the western province of Ireland, her seat of power was in modern-day County Roscommon. Ireland's fight was not just for independence, it was for equality.
If you believe the quiet heroes of Ireland's past deserve to be remembered, please like this video and subscribe to Emerald Chronicle. Your support keeps these stories alive.
The British crackdown was swift and savage. Raids, arrests, and executions became routine. The Black and Tans terrorized villages, burning homes and beating civilians. But brutality bred resolve. Each act of violence deepened the people's commitment. The war was no longer about politics, it was about dignity. Even in hiding, rebels turned to myth. Some wore charms for protection. Others invoked ancient gods before battle. Stories of the Tuatha De Danann and the Morrigan gave meaning to sacrifice. In the trenches and safe houses, folklore was not forgotten, it was fuel. The old Ireland walked beside the new. In 1921, the Anglo-Irish Treaty offered partial freedom, but at a cost. Ireland was split. The Free State was born, but 6 counties remained under British rule. The nation rejoiced and mourned. Some saw compromise. Others saw betrayal. The fire that united Ireland now threatened to tear it apart. By 1922, Ireland turned on itself. Former comrades became enemies. The Civil War was bitter, personal, and tragic. Families divided. Towns burned. The dream of freedom came at a terrible price. Yet even in this darkness, the spirit endured. The fight was not just for land, it was for identity. By 1923, the guns fell silent. The Free State stood, wounded but alive. The cost was immense. Thousands dead. A nation fractured. But beneath the ashes, embers glowed. Ireland had spoken. Not just through battles, but through stories, songs, and sacrifice. The hidden fires had burned bright, and they would never be forgotten. The Civil War ended, but its wounds lingered. Families bore grudges. Communities stayed divided. For decades, silence hung over the conflict, an uneasy peace. Yet in that quiet, stories survived. Passed in whispers, preserved in song, remembered in ritual. Ireland's memory was not erased. It was buried, waiting to be unearthed. The Irish Free State became the Republic of Ireland in 1949. Independence was official, but challenges remained. Poverty, emigration, and isolation marked the mid-century years. Yet through hardship, identity flourished. Irish literature, music, and art bloomed. The nation began to define itself, not by what it had escaped, but by what it could become. While the Republic found its footing, Northern Ireland remained under British rule. Tensions simmered. In the late 1960s, they exploded into the Troubles, a brutal, decades-long conflict. Bombings, riots, and sectarian violence tore through Belfast and Derry. Yet even here, folklore endured. Murals depicted mythic warriors. Songs mourned the lost. Memory became resistance once more. Throughout the 20th century, Ireland's storytellers kept history alive. Sean O'Phelan, Edna O'Brien, and Kate O'Brien gave voice to the voiceless. Their tales blended fact and feeling, myth and memory. In their words, Ireland's pain became poetry. The past was not just studied, it was felt. In the 1980s and 90s, a cultural revival swept Ireland. Traditional music surged. Celtic festivals flourished. Schools taught mythology alongside history. The Banshee, the Selkie, and the Tuatha Dé Danann returned, not as relics, but as symbols. Ireland's ancient soul was not forgotten, it was reborn. Across Ireland, monuments rose. Statues of rebel leaders, plaques for fallen fighters, museums of resistance. But memory was not just in stone, it was in people. Grandparents told stories. Teachers taught truth. Artists painted pain. The past was no longer hidden, it was honored. Modern Ireland is a tapestry, woven from myth, music, and memory. The Celtic thread runs through it all. In tattoos, jewelry, and architecture, ancient symbols live on. The spiral, the knot, the triskele, they speak of eternity, unity, and resilience. Ireland's past is not behind, it's within. Ireland's 20th century was marked by struggle, but also by strength. The fight for freedom taught courage. The pain of division taught empathy. The endurance of folklore taught pride. These lessons shape today's Ireland, a nation that remembers, reflects, and rises. Today, Ireland's diaspora spans the globe. From Boston to Sydney, Irish communities celebrate their heritage. Parades, pubs, and poetry keep the spirit alive. But more than that, they carry the stories, the hidden fires, the silent roots, the living memory. Ireland is not just a place, it's a people. Ireland's story is not finished. It lives in every song sung, every tale told, every step danced. The 20th century tested the nation, but did not break it. From myth to memory, Ireland endures. And as long as her stories are told, her spirit will never fade.
Thank you, truly, for staying with us to the very end of this journey. Your time, your attention, they mean more than you know. Watching this full episode shows a genuine love for Irish history. Not just the legends, but the lives behind them. If this story moved you, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Emerald Chronicle. Your support helps us uncover forgotten voices and keep Ireland's spirit alive. Together, we honor the myth, the memory, and the enduring soul of a nation. Thank you once more and join us again soon.